What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Late Night. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Rissman. How you doing, brother?
Hello there. I'm doing great. Hope you are as well.
I'm doing okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a little skeptical about what we're doing here. I thought it would be a fun idea if, for once, instead of us writing a show plan, let's sit down and see what the chat has to say. Where does the chat want us to go tonight? And so I'm going to leave this open to you guys. If you have some topics of conversation you want covered by Grandma Rissman and myself, then we can talk about it. There are a couple things that we have planned that we're going to talk about, including but not limited to some stuff that's going on with some figures that were released, and then some other stuff regarding Andor. So we're going to talk about that stuff, but I'm interested to hear what you guys want to hear. This is going to be like a choose your own adventure late night. So chat's open, drop a topic.
And already I see Ladaj is excited, and hopefully Ronnie's not. Hopefully Ronnie's not still with us. This could really go south very quickly.
It could go south quickly, but we're gonna take everybody into consideration. If you guys have some recommendations, I'm interested to hear. Oh my god.
Perhaps I shared too much. It's possible I shared too much. I might have shared too much.
Anybody who doesn't know, Rissman revealed to the world here, it's about half an hour ago on a channel with 20 some odd thousand subscribers that he doesn't wear underwear. There was a lot of underwear focused conversation going on in that stream for some reason. I don't know why.
You know what? It's all started with your tiny lighting somehow.
And what's up to the chat, by the way? Hello, Vader Fanatic. What's going on? Ronnie, Tim Stock is here. Mal Walker, Vori, my brother. Star Wars Ladaj, another one of my brothers. JD636, I hope you're doing well tonight, buddy. Yeah, Daisy Blossom Flower Child. What's going on? Welcome. John Graber, obviously, in here. Ronnie's throwing some just unnecessary. It's just unnecessary, dude. And Darth Arlena, Ghost Rider's in here as well. What's up, buddy? Darth Arlena for 5. Hello to 2 of my favorite people. Love y'all. Now away with the younglings. Man, I feel like we haven't done one of those in a minute.
I know, I love it too.
I don't even know. Oh God, where do I find it?
Thank you.
Thank you, Darth Arlena. Glad you're here. So yeah, like I said, I see everybody kind of greeting everybody in the chat, but let us know. What do you want us to talk about? And I put on this thumbnail something as vague as I possibly could, but I tried to influence some of your conversation, hopefully. There's a picture of George Lucas and there's a picture of Kathleen Kennedy. Do with that what you will. Let me know. But frame a question. First question that comes up, we're going to tackle it. As long as it's within reason. For the love of God, make it within reason. Please.
Consider who's here.
Please. I'll continue saying hi. Eli Martin, what's going on? MCU OG, good to have you, bro. And OG. MCU OG and OG. Hello. Project Cambrian, what's going on? Aiden's here. Hello, buddy. Nikki's in the chat right now. What's up, Nikki? How you doing, girl? Devil Actual, and obviously Darth Arlena was here as well. So, yeah. Thoughts on communism? Okay, Aiden. I told you this. I knew this was going to be a bad idea.
You know what? I mean, just kidding.
I think I had hope.
Well, rebellions are built on hope.
God damn it. Okay. All right. Well. Okay, here we go. Boom. Why are Star Wars toys trash? Well, that kind of works into something that, we were going to talk about anyways. I don't know. Do you have that pulled up? Some of the stuff that we saw from the toy release?
Well, come on.
First topic of the night. Why are Star Wars toys trash? I don't think they're all trash. But
we have a... Let's share it over here because I think I put it this way. We have some cool Wookiee stuff, right? One of the things.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the release here.
Put them in there. Yeah. Good.
See what we got.
So this actually, when I saw this first one, I thought of you, just based upon our last late night, right? When I was talking about lightsabers, right? How many more do we need, and what's the difference? And because I think this one. This is a Darth Vader. Isn't it Darth? Yeah, it's a Darth Vader Force FX with the Kyber crystal and the whole 9 yards. It just seems to me like they're creeping more towards the Disney parks part of it, right? With the crystal,
right? The legacy sabers and the crystals. Yeah.
But
You know what's funny though is that this is still a premium price for a subpar product. Bottom line, hands down.
how much will this cost?
It's gonna be within that 400 range, I guarantee you. If it's got a crystal reveal,
Wow.
it has to. I mean, you have to. So you have to think about what's in the parks. Okay, so I will give them this: the hilts look really good, but they're also made for like 8-foot tall people, right? They're too big. They're just too big. That's why I love that one clip. I don't even think I have it saved, but that one
That's
clip.
like what's his name, right?
Oh God, I fucking hate that guy.
Theme park enthusiast, whatever his name is. I don't follow him, but yeah, he's like, oh, it's
Ordinary Adventures,
expected.
Peter.
It's a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be.
That's such a good clip. They look really good, but the problem is that the electronics are just absolutely trashing these things. Bottom line, it's still a string NeoPixel saber, but look, you're not getting actual smooth swing. You're not getting actual NeoPixel features in many of these. So I'm wondering if maybe they're taking a turn at this point, but they should be showcasing new electronics, not... Maybe there's a crystal reveal in this. I'm assuming there is. I actually didn't look through this saber.
No, I mean, I'm with you. It's just what I see here. And I mean, okay, it's Vader. I understand why.
Yeah.
Right? And it seems like it's eminently available, in comparison to some of the other products that are here. And I'm kind of like, I'd love to know what, did we just need another Vader saber? Right? I mean, I don't know why.
Well, I mean, so we have really kind of 4 releases, right? There's obviously there's all the little plastic ones and stuff like that, but you have the 2005 Master Replicas that did not have a removable blade and has comparable electronics to what you would buy at the park. Then you have the Legacy Saber, and then now we have this Black Series Darth Vader, and then you have your third-party stuff. You have your builders who are making these basically from scratch for the most part. And I think for the money, cost value, you're way better off buying it from a saber builder. Bottom line,
I was just going to say, I mean, everything I've heard, you talk about in regards to sabers, it seems like third party is the way to go, right? Some folks who are putting their own TLC and love into what they're producing just seem to be killing it, right?
Yep. Yeah. All right, so we got the Vader saber. Does it have a crystal reveal? Did they even say if it does, or does it just come with a kyber crystal?
I think it just comes with that kyber crystal, right? But I didn't click into Hasbro, right? So I'm on the Star Wars site, so I don't know if Hasbro has more about it. This is just like the summary of what it is.
If it had a crystal reveal, they would have put it in that picture.
Yeah, so I think
100%.
It's just, here's the crystal and here's the hilt, right? I don't think you can see it. Good to see you, Eli. All right, so now here we come with the Jedi Survivor stuff, right? Wookiee Cannon, we're coming. So here we come with the Jedi Survivor stuff, right? Which I thought was kind of interesting. I know there was a leak. Maybe it was a leak, maybe it wasn't, right? In regards to the release date being in the first quarter of 2023, right? Because somebody put up a March thing, a PlayStation Store, somebody put up something and then they snatched that away very quickly. But now that we're seeing some toy stuff here, it tells me it's not too distant, right? Whether it's
March. We got Cal in BD1. He's looking a little more gruff.
He's looking, and Cal's looking older, right? Which we knew he should, right?
Yeah.
Given when the game is supposed to take place.
Now that's a VC, not a Black Series, huh?
Yeah, this is finished. Yeah.
Bro, that BD1 is gonna be tiny.
Yeah,
that's gonna be like the size of your pinky fingernail, tiny.
Well, I mean, just when you saw him, how he's perched up here in comparison to the figure, right? I mean,
yeah, and that's a 3.75 figure.
Yeah,
that BD1 is going to be micro machines.
Easy, right? But I think aging the figure. I was saying this earlier on the EBN stream, right? I think aging the figure and how they're doing it gives us even more opportunity for them to show us in live action. I really feel like somehow, somewhere, we're going to get Cal in live action, right? I think.
Where are they gonna stick him, dude?
I don't know. Just from a timing standpoint, it wouldn't surprise. Oh, Andor, and by the way, something else I saw in a comic. Okay, again with the comics, but they just recently said now it's been canonized that Anakin met Cal Kestis as a Padawan, and so there's a backstory there that's supposed to add an additional something to the story.
Please leave Anakin out of it. Let's let that ship sail, bro. It's done. Let's let it go. Let it go.
Anyway, this one is not available until the summer, I think, right? Summer 2023.
Yeah.
So
kind of interesting.
Yeah, and now we're going to go into what we got here. We've got a KX droid, and then we got a battle droid too, which surprised me.
Yeah.
But I thought this looks like KX droid should look, right? I mean, again, did we need a KX droid? I don't.
See, and that's the thing, man. I really liked the way that the K2 just looks on his own, and even in Fallen Order, they were menacing enough as they were. They're just big lumbering giants that'll beat the living crap out of you. So I kind of liked them as they were, but I guess it's a security droid.
They always have this thing on their back. Did I miss that? Is this thing on his back new?
I've never seen that before on a KT unit. Not in any of anything actually.
It almost looks like it could somehow cause him to shoot fire or something, right? It reminds me of like a flamethrower backpack.
Yeah, it's like a flame trooper. Yeah, it kind of looks like a flame trooper. Kind of weird. Yeah. I don't know.
And then here we go with
Lucas is here, everybody. Welcome, George.
Here we're with the B1 battle droid, right? So I didn't expect to see a B1. We haven't seen B1 battle droids in the original Fallen Order, did we?
No, we didn't see any B1s.
Yeah, so this surprised
I can't block this frickin' bot. Can you block this bot?
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I can't. They always come back as a different name. But yeah, so I thought that was a little bit surprising. How are they working in a B1 battle droid to the that was a little bit quiet.
Katarina, what I'm talking about is that I think they need to let that ship sail when it comes to the prequel trilogy. Because after what happened with Kenobi, I don't feel like they respect it enough for them to continue using it. That was a conversation that we kind of touched on when we were in Echo Base, was that, what we got with Kenobi is as much as people may have liked the story, definitely from a production quality, from cinematography, a lot of the things they didn't land for me. I don't feel like it was dealt with very respectfully, and so I'd rather just have them continue their own stories. Just do your own thing, Disney. Do your own thing. Anyway,
this one's another spring. I should point over here. Another spring. I again thought it was kind of cool. It's looks like a cool.
It's a cool paint job on it, but what's that paint job entail? Like, why is it painted that way? Did somebody reprogram a B1 or something?
It's like he's got his tuxedo on, right? He's out and about for something. I don't know why, man. I mean, he just came back to the men's warehouse, maybe. Who knows, right?
All right.
It's ready to go. And now, again, me and Grogu, we have a love-hate relationship. I have to say, and again, my background on how these things should or shouldn't look isn't the greatest, but I thought he looked good here, right? I guess, have we had Black Series Grogu before? Is this the first time Black Series Grogu, or no?
I only have vintage collection Grogus. I don't think we've gotten a 6-inch scale Grogu. I could be mistaken. There might have been a Mandalorian release that had him in a pram, but so far as I know, it's only been Mando. I don't think we've gotten a 6-inch scale Grogu.
Okay.
And I have like 4 vintage Grogus, one of which came with the Razor Crest.
Yep. So here he is with the macaroons, right? Gotta give him.
You got the macaroons.
Give him with the macaroons, right? He has to be, and he's got his necklace on.
I have to be, dude. I was surfing through Etsy today, looking at Star Wars like collectibles and stuff you can work on and stuff like that. And somebody made a toothpaste topper, so you screw it onto the top of the toothpaste, and then when you squeeze it, it looks like Grogu throwing up the macaroons.
Oh,
I thought it was hilarious.
But is this a frog?
I thought it was too funny.
Is this a frog in the upper left? Is he eating? It's like a looks like a frog.
It's kind of hard to see.
I know.
Yeah, that looks like a little, one of the little one-eyed frogs or something.
So I mean, I guess the egg hatched or something, right? Is it a frog lady? Is it a frog lady's kids? Is he eating?
Could be.
He's actually eating a hatched kid? No, what's going on?
Dude, it's on Etsy. Just look up like Star Wars 3D print and then scroll and you'll find it. Or like, yeah, dude, it's funny. I think it's funny.
Anyway, here's a Grogu. Again, I think Grogu is way over merchandised, obviously, but this to me, I thought he looked very cute here. And then Migs, right? You know.
Oh my God, Migs! I'm buying that the second I get the chance. I'm buying that. Bill Burr in Star Wars is still one of my favorite things that has ever occurred in the history of Star Wars. He just doesn't belong, and somehow he fits right in.
And I hope we see him in Mando 3, right? I mean, I hope when they get the band back together, you know, for helping. You know what? And I hope they put him in some Mando armor, for fuck's sake. You know, you do it up right. You know what I mean? Bring them all in armor.
I just picture Bill Burr, like they give him some Beskar, and he's like, "Hey, what is everybody doing here?" And he gets shot. And he's like, "Hey, this is great." It's just fucking Bill Burr.
But I mean, just again, he's spring 2023. And then here's a deep cut, right? HK87.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, from Coach is like, where is that even from? I was like, well, it's from the Elsbeth's place, right? I mean, it was from whatever that planet is, whose name I don't remember.
So, I mean, the HK units, obviously HKs go back to KOTOR, HK units.
Corvus.
And then Corvus, we get the HK units. They don't quite look like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell with the helmet on because HK didn't have a helmet, but that's a cool figure. Like I think I'd buy that. I'm not a huge 6-inch guy, but I think I'd probably buy that.
I mean, I don't think they were hugely effective in security. I mean,
when you're up against a Jedi, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they needed to do, right? But when I saw this, I was like, okay, that's kind of maybe it's a deep cut, maybe it's not. But I was like, no, that's pretty cool.
I don't know if I'd call it deep.
Well, I mean, we had to think about it, right? We had to think about that one episode and all that, and then of course, we can't not stop with the Luke Skywalker from
Chapter 16, Luke.
From the light cruiser.
Look, I still have I'm waiting on it, and they keep pulling money out of my account every single month. I have the Sideshow one. But that one's gonna be really cool because it's got the Dark Trooper ripped in half and his saber lights up and stuff. I can't wait for that thing to come in. I'm gonna review the shit out of it.
And we were talking earlier about Sideshow. I guess has released additional Dark Troopers now, or they're releasing more Dark Troopers. It just got announced at SD Comic-Con too. So
and they did a big Attack of the Clones release, which I thought was really interesting. The more love, I think.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like the prequel trilogy had the best toys. Okay, let me take that back. Prequel trilogy had the most sellable toys, if that makes sense. There was so much stuff in there that you can sell. There's only so many Rebel troopers that you can sell, that look a little bit different, but there's 47 different clone battalions that people want a figure of. They want a helmet of, and LAATs painted differently and stuff like that. It's very, very, very profitable. And I wish they'd kind of bring that back into it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, this is the anniversary, right? I mean, this is the year. I don't think they really leaned into that as much as they could have, right?
Yeah.
So, this was the year to have done it. But
dude, Hasbro, HasLab, LAAT instead of the Reva lightsaber, it would have funded immediately.
And so, what about this? Another Slave One with the display here.
I don't get this.
And well, this is the Book of Boba Fett Slave One, right? I mean, I think he looks pretty badass,
it
right?
It doesn't look all that different than the one that they already released.
I was just gonna say, right? I know you were just, were we jonesing for another Slave One? Does it matter?
Not really.
Right.
I'm happy with the OT Slave One. It looks great. I don't have any particular love or affinity for the Slave One that we saw in Book of Boba Fett. And to spring another, I don't even remember what I paid for that thing. I thought it was close to $200 for that ship.
Yeah,
I don't need another one. No.
Well, like I said, I was personally more impressed with this figure, just looking at it for what it is, than I was with another Slave One.
That's already been released, though.
Oh, this figure is a
yeah, with the puffy pants. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or actually, well, it depends on what's underneath the cloak. I don't know, actually, because he has a puffy pants Boba armor. I don't know if he's got the full Tusken getup. Depends. Oh my god, it's my father-in-law.
All right, perfect. And now comes the weird stuff, right? And again, I just want to know what is going on, right? is the pork alive? Is the pork dead? Why is the pork here? And
I just don't understand why this is necessary.
What
You're
else
heading
is
up
in
a
this
company
box?
that's got, I mean, $1 billion in toy sales. Why you would do some weird shit that has absolutely nothing to do with anything that anybody wants? I mean, this is, you know what this reminds me of is, you remember when they released the Christmas stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person who buys the Christmas stuff. I don't know why. Like, it just doesn't interest me. You know what I mean? Or the Skittles Troopers, the ones where they were all kinds of different colors and shit like that. It's just, I'm not going to spend money on that. Get out of here.
Well, and from a Lego standpoint, right? They give us an advent calendar where they do the minifigs have, some of them have the cute Christmas sweaters or whatever. So that's a thing.
That makes
right?
sense.
But when I saw this, and again, I'm just stuck on the porg and the whole rest of it, and then Ronnie's like, well, it's just a Fortnite ripoff on top of everything else. I'm like,
Was this in Fortnite or something?
No, it's just a skeleton clone trooper is the way that it's the way that it's marketed. And again, I don't know what's in the box, and is that where the pork came from? But no,
It just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense
Clone
to me.
Trooper Halloween edition.
No, it's a 6-inch toy, man. I don't know. For me, that's a real head scratcher. This one and this one, like, what are you doing, man?
Oh, wait, what's on his back? This is the first time I've seen something on his back.
I don't know.
And it's over here too. I don't know what's on his back, because the next one is going to be him holding the, I'm here for your candy, right?
Dude, this makes no sense to me. I legitimately don't. When people are clamoring for so much other stuff, the fact that you're coming out with like a Halloween line, what are you doing?
Has he got Beskar? I don't even know what's in his hand. I didn't know what was on his back. But
I don't know. This is like, for me, this is some weird, like, Japanese kawaii freaking, like, aha, look, Black Chrysanthemum's got cat ears. Like, what are you doing, dude? Get that corn out of my face, man.
I don't know, dude. And then it keeps, going, right? We have this very colorful, Dark Trooper, right? With this credits line, I think they call it.
It's a furry Wookiee. Yeah, I don't like it.
No, I don't know what this is all about. It didn't make much sense to me. The credit collection.
Let me see the card back. Oh, so credit collection always has these weird colors on them. They've done it with a bunch of different figures. The credit collection, the card backs are kind of okay. I don't know, but I've never understood the credit collection. They did it with a bunch of the Mando characters, and it doesn't land for me. I don't know. Everybody has a shtick, but you're not going to catch me dropping any money on those things.
Yeah, I mean, again, I guess it's its thing, right? But to me, a Dark Trooper should be black, right? I mean, I don't.
Generally, yeah, very shiny, yeah, dark.
Nothing about it.
A Dark Trooper, not a Dayglow 70s Trooper.
But now, of course, can never have too many Tusken Raiders. So here's another new Tusken Raider.
I have a lot of Tusken Raiders. I'm not gonna lie.
He's got this outfit on. That's another fall, and then more. Here's a Tatooine. I guess this is the Mandalorian, right? Yeah, here's another.
Is that Mando? Yeah, okay. Yeah, see how they just do the weird colors and stuff? For some reason, it just doesn't appeal to me. I don't know. Like,
well, this to me is better than that Dark Trooper was. At least I can, but it's still not great. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I guess if it's a thing, it's a thing. And then,
the goofy figures, they take away as compared to add to anything. For me, it's bad for the brand. I agree. Yeah, I mean, stick to what works, and then release more figures that are more varied instead of. Well, here's the thing. You know what they're doing? They're just repainting the shit out of figures that they've already sold, and they're like, check this out. If we add this cheap plastic molded credit, it's a completely different line. No,
well, I think I saw Nikki say it right. It's like they're taking their leftovers and they're just painting them, right? I mean, again, and here's, I would have thought it was Sabine, right? But this is Bo-Katan, right? I mean, now their helmets off, right? But again, the colors is just, it's a whole different color.
So what? So look at that picture right there. What's difference? Like the legitimate difference between a Bo-Katan and a Bo-Katan credit collection there. They sprayed a little bit of olive drab in her armpit.
Yeah, that's it.
And they're like, check it out, it's the credit collection. But like, what? What did oh my god, what did Sigourney Weaver say in Avatar? They're pissing on me without even the courtesy of calling it rain.
Well, yeah, I mean, the saying is don't piss on me and telling me it's raining. I mean, that's a really old saying, but yeah, 100%.
Dude, you already have a little Wookiee. My father-in-law is like 6 foot, I don't even know how big, big dude, and he's got a Yorkie that's about the size of my butt cheek. And I always say it looks like a little Wookiee, dude. A little Wookiee running around. Okay, so here we go. There you got Ahsoka.
Here she is. Again. She's got purple socks. I mean, her socks.
Oh, great! Yeah, purple socks. Oh, yeah, awesome. I mean,
there she is. Again, this is all the same. This is like it's all the credit collection here towards the end.
Yeah, I don't even want to see the credit collection. I'm going to be honest.
And then here's a Boba Fett. You know, he's in a
nice little purple Boba Fett.
Yeah, or purple, or whatever it is. You know,
it depends on your computer screen what you're actually going to get.
Purple there, but and then I think here, you know, we get back in Axe-Woves. Axe-Woves doesn't surprise me because I think Axe-Woves actually
he's coming back for Mando.
Well, he's coming back because they kicked Casca Reeves to the curb, right? I mean, I don't know if he was always supposed to come back, but yeah, he's coming back in Mando 3 just because they now need him to. But there you go. So he's coming back. And then, you know, because everyone needed one of the Klatooinian Raiders, right, from Book of Boba Fett. I mean, this
yeah, why not?
Needed, right? So here he is.
But I would rather have that than one of the credit collections.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Do more of that stuff.
It seems true to screen, so I'm with you on that. And then this one, apparently, we talked about this earlier. This box set here. I think this is a $95 box set.
But that's the original mail-in rebate set, right?
Yeah,
that's
retro.
The original. Yeah. So this one I can get behind because it even has the same banner as that mail-in rebate banner. So essentially, if you try to even buy the cardboard that was on the back of that mail-in banner in good condition, you can pay upwards of like $5,000 for it. Wow. It's ridiculous. So I think that's kind of fun. I really wish they didn't plaster the giant retro collection orange circle on the front of it. That's a little ridiculous. And the price point, I would say, is a little ridiculous as well. I mean, you got to see, you're getting 6 figures. What's the math on that?
No, I mean, 6 times 15 is 90.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's why I say, we were talking about it earlier. I'm like, I don't know anything about it, but it seemed pricey to me, right? And then of course the figures they're making, it seems like they're making the figures available for individual purchase as well. Right?
Yeah, so, I mean the whole shtick on that for me really is getting that kind of that card back that you got in the original Kenner.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if you're gonna be all in, I don't know how much they're gonna. I don't know.
They blew it with a giant retro button on it. Maybe there's another one on the inside that's not on it or something. But
the rest of the box is, you know, kind of cool, right? But on your point, this cheapens it out big time, right? I mean, yeah, I don't want that.
If it was a kind of a repro of that original mail-in and you could stick the figures in front of it, I'd be super down. If that retro button's not on there, I'd be interested to see. Maybe I'll buy it just to see in the back if there's one without all the, like, the China warning in the top left and the +4 and the retro and all that stuff. That'd be really cool.
And so that's it, right? I mean, that's what was highlighted on the Star Wars site in regards to the drop. And so I know Ladaj and some other folks, you know, commented on, you know, was that a lot? I don't know if I don't know how that, what I'm trying to say is I don't know how that compares to the kinds of toy drops or the different exclusive things that get advertised in these cons, these Comic Cons and otherwise. Is that a lot? Is it? I know that's not everything.
It's honestly not crazy. It's not crazy at all. I mean, you figure $15 a fig is essentially what you're paying loose anyways. So as a box set, if it comes with an extra little thing on the back, great. I guess that's an added bonus. But to be honest with you, man, like, I haven't even really been buying stuff from this day and age. Like, I have some vintage collection stuff, but you can go on eBay right now. I have been buying the ever-loving shit out of Phantom Menace figures. because they're selling for $9 a fig. And then you go back to Power of the Force figures, and if you're really hunting and you're paying attention, you can get them for $7-8 a fig, which is less than what they sold for in the Kroger's when you bought them when you were a kid. So for me, you know, at this point, look, are the figs as articulated and cool and good looking? No. You should see a Power of the Force figure against what one of today's vintage collection figures looks like. It is ridiculous how different they are. I mean, really ridiculous. So the quality of the figure is really good, but honestly, I'm almost buying more for the card back than I am for the figure. And so, you know, if you're plastering the stuff all over the wall and you're having a good time and enjoying it, then yeah, go where your money is going to work for you.
No, I hear you. You know, and I think overall, this Comic-Con, this wasn't intended to be a big Star Wars presence there, and so I know Ladaja said, "Oh, you know, it's not underwhelming in regards to the amount of product and merchandise that was revealed from a Star Wars perspective." I think they're saving some stuff for D23, and I don't think it was supposed to be a huge Star Wars event, right? So again, you know, scrolling through that Hasbro, and then I know, you know, Sideshow and Hot Toys did their thing, and some other stuff, right? So I'm kind of like, I wasn't expecting much. So when I saw all that stuff happening, I was like, okay, there's a few things, some of them weird, right? A few things weird.
Well, and I almost hate to see, and you know, maybe this is going to turn some people off, but I almost hate to see Hot Toys and Sideshow going into Kenobi. I know that's a personal thing, but they've almost never put anything out that I'm like, I would put a second mortgage on my house just to be able to like afford some of these things. And to see them start putting stuff out that I'm like, I wouldn't buy that is the weirdest feeling in the world. You know, there's almost never been a collectible where I'm like, damn, I wouldn't buy that. And it just seems more and more and more like it's happening. It's happening a lot.
I think some of the differentiation is fading away, right? And on your point, it's becoming a little bit, for me, you know, Hot Toys and Sideshow and some of the rest of it used to be a bit boutique-y, right? It was extra special, and what you're highlighting now is it's moved too much more towards the mainstream from a theme and an offering perspective. So now it just looks like an expensive something I could get another version of, versus, okay, I could only get this from them, right? And I don't know what caused that departure in their philosophy, but it's been somewhat recent, I think.
Do you think it might be?
I think so.
Some of this, maybe.
Well, I think again, you know, through the pandemic and some other things that were going on, right? People's disposable income to spend on upper echelon Hot Toys and Sideshow and some of the rest of it, that evaporated very quickly, right? And so now I think as they rebound and try and you know, gain some profits, they're forced to compete with where everyone else is spending their money, and it's just not. I don't think it's why they started their business, but it's where they're at now, all the same.
I think for me, and so Vori sent me something in chat. I'll pull it up because I guess we'll take that as a short topic real quick, and then we'll move on. So guys, if you're gunning for something for us to talk about, start queuing up some thoughts here. You know, this stuff for me has always been kind of tough because it's not even on Chrome. What the heck happened here? Hold on. I'm going to pull it up for you. So this is definitely more something.
It muted you again.
There we go.
All right, you're back.
Something that I would call more in like the steampunk genre. Let's share this over. This is like, for me, this is something that I've never really been interested in.
Oh yes, I've seen this also. Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people like this stuff, but for me, I just and don't get mad at me for this, Vori. To me, it is a bastardization. Now, don't get mad at me for that. Okay, I understand that might be a little bit controversial of a statement, but For me, I really like something that is as true to on screen that you can see. And I will pay as much money as necessary to get something that is as close to in the universe as possible. And I think that's just a preference thing. But for me, like if I'm going to have something in my room, it should look like it should have been something that was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this to me, steampunk or otherwise, right? This to me is too artsy, right? If I'm going to spend the money on a Vader, I would rather spend the money on the, Vader with tattered cloak and everything else after he just got cracked face, everything after he just got done with Ahsoka, right? Or something that recognizably, hey, this is a special Vader, right?
Yeah.
All respect to the artist who did this, right? I mean, obviously they put some thought into it.
Yeah.
Really not my style.
Yeah, it's just not something that's for me. But I mean, what I would say is good on them for taking the initiative and making something awesome. You know what I mean? I'm at the point right now where like I want to buy 3D prints and do them on my own, and I'll just start making my own shit because I can't trust anybody else to do it. I don't even know what to say to that.
That struck me more as a sculpture, right? What I would consider a work of art or a sculpture or the rest of it than I would necessarily, for me, a meaningful collectible. But
yeah, I don't know. For me,
muted you again. I don't know why. I don't know what you did, but it just muted. You're back.
I grew up in a time when when Star Wars collecting was really, really, really at an all-time high. I mean, it was huge during the original trilogy, and then kind of that gap between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. There was a lot of buzz around it. It was still there. The prequel trilogy comes out, and now it's like a double hike because now we have all the stuff coming from the prequel trilogy, and we have the stuff from the original trilogy. People are interested in the OT stuff now; they're interested in the PT stuff too. And so, and everything that I got, I felt like it was even the cheap stuff that you saw in Toys R Us was good quality stuff. I mean, the sculpts on the figures were really good. They came with Comtech chips, so you could hear the characters talk and all kinds of fun accessories. There was even a remote control droid. You remember the droids that Maul sent out to look all over Tatooine? It would follow you with a lightsaber and shoot little foam projectiles at you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't even get that on the Halcyon, bro. They just shoot a laser at you. Like, it was literally higher quality than what we're getting now, which is mind-boggling to me. So I guess I'm just a little stubborn about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? When I know that we can be getting some things that are affordable and enjoyable as Star Wars collectors, and they're missing. They're missing for me a lot.
Well, and the technology in that particular one that you just mentioned is so rudimentary compared to what's possible today, and yet you still remember it, right, as something that was differentiating, because today it all just feels very cheap, right?
Yeah.
I had to go into Kohl's the other day to window shop for a couple things, so I went down the toy aisle, right, and I looked at what was there, and I was like, this just looks like a bunch of cheap crap, right? I mean, I'm like, I wouldn't want any of this, right? It didn't look special. It didn't just look like mass-produced shit.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm like, no wonder there are no toy stores anymore. Nobody wants to look at this.
I went.
Right?
I went. So I kind of did the same thing. I went into Walmart today to buy some golf balls, and I was like, you know what? Let's just stop by the toy aisle. I walked by, and there's like maybe 4 Star Wars figures, maybe. You know what I mean? And of course, it's all Lando. It's all Lando, Black Series Lando. I'm like,
Lando
every freaking time, dude. Yeah. I have enough Lando figures to last me a lifetime. I'm not buying any more, just like out of shame to buy the Lando. And then we walked to the pet department. And on the pet department end aisle, there's like some Grogu dog bandanas. And I'm like, this is Star Wars now. You know what I mean? This is what it is. It's on an end cap. It's a Grogu handkerchief for your dog's neck. And it just really depressed me. And it seems like it's either that. They're at the point where it's either that, there's all these figures that Hasbro lists on their site that you somehow seemingly can't ever physically get your hands on, because there's hundreds, but God knows where they are. Can't get a hold on them. And then there's Sideshow, and then there's the $10,000, $85,000 animatronic Grogu. Where's the middle ground, man? Like,
they just don't distribute. They don't distribute their cooler stuff into the brick and mortar market because they understand that market's not solvent anymore, right? The people, the people that are in Walmart shopping are not usually there shopping for toys, right?
But the hunters will buy that shit off the shelf in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And the more you get in front of the customer, the more front of mind it is. You know what I mean? Toys have always been sold to kids. Why do you think George was so successful in his ventures? Was because toys were at the front of everybody's mind. You had lanes with Darth Maul stretched all the way down the middle of it, and it was red from left to right all the way to the end of the aisle. Where do you think kids wanted to go when they went shopping? They were like, I'm going to go to the toy aisle. How many can I get? You can pick one.
Well, and also back at that time, right, the only real, what we would consider today be a big box store that existed was Kmart, right? And Kmart's shtick was a bit of a different shtick back then than it was. So they weren't really necessarily competing with Child World and Toys R Us and Children's Palace and some of these other places that existed, right, that were in the toy business, because at that time they understood, the other retailers understood, I don't want to sell, I don't want to just stick toys. No one wants to come here and buy toys, right? And then things changed, right, as we got into this whole one-stop shop and big box retailers, and some of the rest of it fell by the wayside and with online shopping. But I'm with you. Again, I'm super old school, right? I want to go out and see a toy before I buy it, right? Or I don't. There's something very tactile, right, about buying a toy that doesn't resonate necessarily when you buy it online. But again, it's Lego is one of the notable exceptions these days.
They're everywhere.
That still understands how to infuse themselves into the market, right? Not only with their own standalone stores, but in every other place you go, whether it's Kohl's or Target or Walmart or any of the Costco, right? Sam's Club, any of the rest is, you're going to find them there.
Yeah.
Right. Quite prevalently, and with a decent supply. It's weird.
So what's the problem, man? I just don't understand, because I feel like there have been 1,000 times in my life where I've had two figures in my hand, and world leaders have had an easier time deciding whether or not to nuke a country than me holding those two figures in my hand being like, which one do I want? You know what I mean? There's something so special about that. There's something so special about a kid going and picking a toy out of a store. And I've said this before on streams that, like, that is the one thing that makes me really sad when I think about when little X-Wing is going to be running around. We're not pregnant yet, but when little X-Wing is running around, it's going to be tough to try to take him to a store, go pick out a Star Wars toy. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, you can have 6-inch Lando or 3-inch Lando. What do you want? Well, I got Lando last week. Like, I'm sorry, buddy. It's not the same with them sitting in your lap and you're scrolling through the internet looking for it. There's something so tangible for kids when they can hold a toy in their hand. And to see that gone, it just breaks my heart, man.
Well, in those times I've been in Target or Walmart or some of these other places, right, where I can clearly see there are children present, right? Obviously with their parents and otherwise. Where the children and their parents are not? You're not in a toy aisle. I'm in a toy aisle by my fucking self, right? I'm like, what is wrong with this picture?
I always act like I'm buying like a toy for my niece or nephew or something. Just like, oh, look, there's that stuff.
I don't even have to act like I'm doing anything because there's nobody there watching me.
Yeah, right? Yeah, this is true.
They're in other parts of the store. I'm like, why are there no children in the toy section?
You're playing Fortnite, bro.
Apparently. Right? It's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because, gosh, back when I was in the toy store, you couldn't move right, in those toy aisles and some other things, and it was a
Yeah.
destination, and now it seems like it's an afterthought.
Yeah, I got sent up to, well, obviously Portland, infamous Portland. My butt shaking on videos has made its way through the Star Wars community on YouTube.
Made their appearance in the first place.
Yeah, but when I was in Portland, I even jumped at the chance. This toy store was miles and miles and miles and miles away, but it was a Star Wars toy store. And I walked it. You would have thought I crapped my pants. I walked in. I'm like, oh my God, it's all here. Everything. It was vintage collection all down. Every figure you could think of. Black Series all down this wall. There were posters and T-shirts. And there needs to be one of those in every single town, man. I mean, like, there's just something so special about Star Wars that connects you to your childhood. And I think as a father, you got to bring that back to your kids and share that joy. You got to have that stuff, man.
Or you could be like Ducky Momo, who doesn't want their children to have toys. So,
What?
What? You just said in the chat, no more toys.
Bruh. Hell no. My kid's gonna have a surplus of toys. I think you do. Look, this doesn't need to be a conversation on parenting, but anyway, okay. I think we pick up one more subject.
Yeah.
Before we go to bed tonight, I have to tear the ears off of Gundark. I'm gonna be Riggy back.
Right, no.
I'll be right back.
Small. What? He's back. Now he's gone. He's back. Now he's gone. How's everyone else doing in the chat? Feel like I've been talking for hours. Thanks as always for being here. What other topics? Thanks for that topic, Mickey. No, Dildage. I think it's number 1. I don't think it's number 2. Just think it's number 1. I know, Paul. Good to see you. Thanks for always coming back. All right, Yadi's got one. When he comes back, we'll talk about whether or not animation greater than live action. That's a good one. And Yadi, do you mean generally speaking, or do you mean based upon the recent animation things we've seen versus recent live action things? That's a good one. Animation better than live action. Stories are better. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
We have a request. Yadi
Okay.
has a great request in regards to.
Who was it? Oh, it was Yadi?
Yadi, yeah. In regards to animation versus live action storytelling, do we think that the story? Because I asked for clarification, right? Do we think that the stories have had more care and feeding from an animation perspective versus what we've gotten in live action?
That's a deep question, and I feel like there's a couple different answers. The one thing that I will say live action will always trump animation is that you have a human in front of your face that you're looking at and you can empathize with. And so that's something that animation will never be able to do. So, looking at Hayden's face, looking at Ewan's face at the end of Revenge of the Sith, when, he's saying, I love you, like those heavy moments, you're never going to be able to fully recreate that in animation, because having a human in front of you, there's something instinctually in us. I think when we see that stuff, we just connect to it. You know what I mean? But having said that, if you're somebody who's already a huge fan of Star Wars as it lies now, and you have that human connection already to those characters, I think you can kind of equate it into animation. And beyond that, I think the liberty that storytellers have when it comes to animation, they have a lot more leash to tell the stories that they want to tell in animation, because they're not as constrained by CGI and all these different things. They're able to tell that story in a much more open way. So is it better? That's a really tough question to answer. You know what I mean? That's a really tough question. I think there's benefits and there's benefits to some, and there's benefits to the other.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there towards the end was where my mind was going, in so much as from the animations perspective, right? There's a lot of overhead that gets removed, right? And by overhead, I mean some of the stuff that we've been struggling with a bit in the recent live action offerings, right? In regards to the CGI, the smallness of the sets, the way in which the volume is used or not used, right? You know, and then, you know, the actual framing of the actors, right? And how that adds and all the rest of it, right? I mean, there's so much that goes into it from a production perspective in live action versus, and I don't mean to diminish animated product, right? Because again, you know, there is the animation itself, as we've seen, has matured and looks better and better, and there's techniques behind that, and of course the voice actors do a great job, and the animators themselves, right, who draw the characters. But it does seem like in some way it gives them more of an opportunity to focus on the storytelling,
right,
from an animation perspective, and really make sure that that's hitting and resonating, because it's weirdly enough, it seems like in animation that storytelling is much more important than it is in live action, because the distractions of other things in live action that could make that or make up for a story that might be lagging a bit is removed, right? So you can't have any, and that's why I think we've had the perfect storm of malaise here recently in some of the live action things that we've gotten, is because none of it's been hitting 100%, right? Story hasn't been great, the CGI hasn't been great, the effects haven't been great, the music hasn't been great, and so all of that collides together to produce a product that hasn't been great. But on the animation side, right, there's less of that opportunity for collision, and so it seems almost like they take more care on the smaller number of parts, if you will, and making them good. And I think there's less chefs in that kitchen. If we think about the recent animation we've gotten from a story standpoint, I haven't gotten the impression that there's a writer's room involved necessarily, right? It's been,
certainly not the one we're used to.
Well, yeah. So, you know what I mean? But I mean, these animation stories have been told by a much smaller number of writers, or potentially Dave Filoni on his own self, like him, don't like him, at least it's his story, right? And then the Kleiner brothers and some of these other folks who are scoring it, I don't know. I guess the more I talk about it out loud, I guess I lean toward, if I use recent history, I feel like they've delivered a superior animated product from a Star Wars perspective consistently than they have live action. Isn't that weird? And the Mandalorian, again, I always put Mandalorian as an outlier, right? Because I think, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, all other things being equal and putting the Mandalorian to the side, it's strange.
It is odd. I think it's odd. You know what? But to a degree, I would say that it's not. Again, like you said, there's not as much oversight, I would say, on the animated side of things. Oh, it's a show written for kids, and then they give you the best stories that are out there. Yeah. For me, I think, you know, the most important thing with the animated side is that obviously, since they don't have they have voice actors. Obviously, voice actors are going to be involved. I would say they're a lot easier to work with than Hollywood actors. You know what I mean? And then beyond that, like we said, with the oversight, they have to focus on the story so much more because it is animation. I think when you have a human performance, sometimes you can kind of pull back on the story and your actors do this and blah, 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 and you're working emotion into it. But when you just have a voice actor and somebody writing a story, you really have to lean into the dialogue. You really have to lean into these interactions. And I think that's why maybe some of the older fans are more connected with the animated stuff, because they're like, these are great stories. They're awesome stories. And could you imagine making the Clone Wars TV show in live action? $13 trillion, maybe? I don't know. Like, what the hell would that cost?
Not only can I not imagine that, but I saw Nikki say in the chat, which I wholeheartedly agree with, by the way, that she wishes that the upcoming Ahsoka show that they're doing would be animated, right, versus actually putting it in live action, right? And right. I do feel like they have attempted here over the last little while to try and take some of that storytelling and some of that character development that has really resonated and make it more widely available to folks my age, right? Real old fans who still don't understand. I don't, because I took the time now to experience it, but traditionally we think of animated as cartoons, right? And we think of it as very cartoonish, and as a result, not really having the opportunity to tell a meaningful story. And so for those reasons and others, I think they started to push some of these characters that did very well, obviously in animation, into live action, and also have now taken some of those storytellers, Dave and others, right, and have tried to infuse their ability to tell those stories in live action, where I'm kind of like, if you wanted to tell, this is where I come from, which is not going to surprise you a bit, if you wanted to tell another fucking season of Rebels, then why didn't you just say Rebels Season 5 animation is the story of Ahsoka?
You gave us 7 Clone Wars. Fuck, give me another Rebels.
You know what I mean? The story of Ahsoka looking for Ezra and Thrawn, right? I don't personally understand why that continuing story needed to be ported into live action, because I think there are other live action stories they continue to tell that didn't need for that transition to happen. So I'm also
dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, just from seeing the leaked Ahsoka trailer, Harrison Dula is already a problem for me. How are you gonna bring Harrison Dula into live action? Like Ahsoka, ooh, that's tough. But even, dude, Harrison Dula is gonna be rough coming into live action. I don't think people are gonna be happy with it. You're taking a big risk for no reason when you could continue a story that's gonna make people happy for a fraction of the cost.
And this is why somebody, I think it might have been in Meg's Discord or someone was like, oh, you know, I hope that we see Thrawn in Mando season 3. And my response was, I hope we don't. Why? Because I'm not ready for, he's not blue enough. He's too blue. His eyes are wrong. His head's wrong. He's not tall enough. His uniform's wrong. He doesn't act this way. I'm just not fucking ready for it.
It's going to be a whole mess, dude. It's going to be a whole mess. Thrawn never acted that way. And beyond that, there's a sub discussion of, so me personally, I know written Thrawn. So Timothy Zahn's Thrawn. Other people are going to know Rebels Thrawn. And we're going to butt heads because I'm like, that Thrawn would never do that. And people are like, well, Rebels Thrawn would do that.
They're like, no. I'm like, no, please. I am not. I need to prepare myself. Right? I need to prepare. No, this is why I am not excited. I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it again as a broken record. I am not excited for the Ahsoka series. Not because I don't want to continue to live the Rebels story, right? And I don't want to see that mature and go, because I'm not ready for the cattiness and everything else that's going to come with the fact that, and I might be a contributing factor to this, by the way. So I mean, I don't mean to.
I would be, yeah,
I don't
shamelessly.
I don't mean to act like I'm above it, right? But I'm just not ready for that potential interaction, because something is not going to be the way we want it to be compared to
as all things in Star Wars are, right?
So your experience with Thrawn in written, right? So Thrawn in written, right? So I'm like, ugh, you know, I'm like, I don't want it.
And this is the major difference, right? So I'm with Nikki that Thrawn he's never going to be a villain. He's never been a villain. Like, Thrawn is a badass dude, got a good heart, smart as hell, and a warrior, right? Like, that's all Thrawn is to me. People who are big fans of Rebels might be like, ooh, he's a cunning and evil man, and blah, 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 if they haven't read books about Thrawn. And so I think, on top of what people might say, where his eyes aren't red enough, or he's not blue enough, or they didn't get his uniform right, you know, the big thing is going to be for Thrawn is that the hardcore fans that have been reading this and been in that part of the universe for a long time, there's going to be a big fight there. Big fight.
Well, not only all of that, then you have to factor in how should we expect him to act after being in the unknown regions, doing whatever they've been doing for however long they've been there, right? And how
that's the scapegoat, right? That's the Tusken Raider to Boba.
Yeah. They're like, well,
yeah.
We've got singing and dancing in the rain Thrawn now, right? Because of, I'm like, that's where I'm like, that's why when she's like, where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? My answer was, I hope you don't find him, bitch. I don't know where he is. I don't know what he's doing, but please don't find him anytime soon, because Filoni being involved or not, and me personally, I didn't mind the Rebels Thrawn so much because the dialogue and the way they wrote him and some of the interaction and the things that he did there were very Thrawn appropriate to me, right? But they totally didn't go into his backstory at all.
Well, and that's the thing. You're telling the story from the rebel side.
Yeah.
So yeah, Thrawn would seem like the most evil man in the world if you're telling it from the rebel side.
There. You don't know why. You didn't even know his relationship with Price, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Right, and some of the rest of this. So that's where I'm like, I am in no hurry, personally, to see Thrawn in live action because I just don't want to go there. I just don't.
Well, and all the nuance that comes along with Thrawn and how complicated of a man that Thrawn is. Yadi brought up a good point, bro. They can't even do Boba Fett, right? That's baseline easy. How are they going to handle the nuance of Thrawn?
This is no. I don't want to see him in Mando 3. I don't even want to see him in the first season of Ahsoka, assuming that it is going to be multi-season, which is speculated, right? I just women understand what I'm saying. I love Thrawn as a character, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
How weird is this, right? I love him as a character, and I know many people in the chat do as well. I don't want to see him because they're gonna fuck it up, and it's gonna be hard to witness the fallout from that. And I'm like, so let's just not, at least not. Don't smoke Mando 3 by giving us Thrawn. Please don't. Screwed up for other reasons, but not Thrawn. I'm begging you.
That's almost, in a way, it's almost worse than Kenobi. Almost.
Right?
Almost. And stop me if you think I'm wrong here when I'm saying this, but, this is a character that, dude, it's got more history than Kenobi. When you think about books that have been written and stories that have been told about this guy, he's almost got more than Kenobi. Am I totally wrong there?
No. No.
That's just the fact of the matter, kids.
And all of these, it all comes back to Andor, right? Not because I think Andor really is going to be the best thing we've ever seen, right? But why it comes back to Andor is because Andor is not going to be a character-based series. Yes, there are going to be a lot of characters in Andor, of course.
Yeah.
But the Andor series is not going to be about Andor, right? The Andor series is going to be about what's going on in the Star Wars world during this time frame, with a bunch of characters that are being introduced that we don't care if they fuck them up or not. There's nothing to fuck up.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's not really lanes they have to stay in per se.
Right. So for that standpoint, right?
What the fuck, Nicky?
I'm like, it's one of those things where I want to watch a Star Wars series and be engrossed in what's going on in the Star Wars world without worrying about how did they or did they not fuck up a character I care about. And it's so wrong to say that.
No, it's not.
Very, very wrong for that to be a barrier to entry now that I've.
Oh, you're saying from our standpoint, it's wrong to have to say that. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
But this is part of the reason why I've been so excited about the Andor series. I couldn't give two shits if I like Diego Luna. I think he's a good actor, by the way. I couldn't give two shits about the character. I think he'd probably give one shit, right, about the character of Cassian Andor, right? But I'm so interested to think about and to experience the time frame that they're going to tell us about that I'm into it.
Well, that's the time frame that we love, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking OT time. So look, they got a million. Okay, I've said this before. They got a million ways they can get this right, and they have one way they can get it wrong.
Watch what's going to happen, right? They're going to bring
one.
Fucking Thrawn will show up in Andor, and I'll be like, why?
Why did you do that?
Why
like the worst poker player in the world. It's literally Lucasfilm at a poker table with the fans, and they're pulling out an ace when they have nothing. And they're like, well, I have an ace. And they're like, okay. And then you have literally nothing else. That doesn't fix your hand. What are you doing? Stop.
Yeah.
What is it going to take? I don't know. I don't know what's going to take to fix it.
I think what it's going to take is a well-produced, visually appealing story, a series with a story that seems to have a plan, right? That resonates, that again, doesn't fuck around with with established characters that people have a huge a huge history with. If the biggest thing we talk about with Andor is why does it look like an AK-47, I'm fine with that.
Oh, I'm
right?
happy.
I mean, if that is the worst thing we're talking about on the series, is why
that's a win for Star Wars fans, 100%.
Why couldn't they fix the gun up a little bit more? Peace and love, fine. Okay.
If it is a full-blown Kalashnikov and they're shooting laser bolts out of it, and that's the problem, I'm happy. Just give me that. That's okay. That's okay. Fine. Because they spend all the money on R&D for the prop department to make the aliens look good and everything else, and the only thing we got wrong was a gun. I'm a happy boy. Because I'm not paying attention to that. And that's the thing. This goes back to the prequels a lot of times. I think it was Robert Meyer Burnett, like one of his favorite things he ever said to me was Star Wars was a good movie and it was a Star Wars movie. The prequels were bad movies and they were Star Wars movies. And then the sequels were bad movies and they weren't Star Wars movies. So, you have to kind of...
It's a play from my playbook, right? I mean,
you have to make concessions.
The prequels were great Star Wars and maybe the movies weren't the greatest, right? The sequels are visually beautiful movies, but the Star Wars sucks, right? And so somehow I think, I think we can probably get there with Andor. But I have to tell you, speaking of Robert Meyer Burnett, he's been talking about For All Mankind now for a while. For All Mankind is an Apple TV Plus sci-fi series, and if you don't know the premise of this, it's all around. It's based upon the U.S. space race, right? But the what if is, what if the Russians beat us to the moon first? And what if the presidential elections didn't go exactly the way we thought they might, in the way they did, and so on? And so we're up to there. So they started in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, talking about how do we progress as a nation in regards to first the dominance on the moon, and now it's moved on to Mars, right? It's by Ronald Moore, who's done so many sci-fi things, right? Battlestar Galactica and some of the rest of this. But where I'm going with this is it's wonderful, right? The production value is excellent. The writing is phenomenal, right? The actors and actresses are totally into their parts and are doing it. And I'm into it, right? I'm like, I can't wait for the next episode to come out, right? I'm like, they're just killing it in much the same way as The Expanse did when The Expanse was out, right? So I continue to encounter other streaming series, sci-fi or otherwise, that clearly can do this.
You need to watch The Orville, man. I'm telling you, watch it, catch up with it, because that's going to be a conversation for the ages. Orville New Horizons has been so conflicting for me. And I popped on a stream the other day and I was like, I was trying to get on both sides of the argument. It's tough, man, because it's a new breed of show where it's well written, but they have got woke just right up in your face, big time. And it's tough because you're like, damn, that was a good story. And at the same time, you're like, because I don't want any of that stuff interjected into my stories, but it's right there, front and center, shamelessly. But I like it at the same time. It's tough. It's really tough. There's a very yin and yang thing going on there with the Orville.
But the Orville resonates with you and other folks because the story is well thought out. It's well written. I haven't seen it, but I know this to be true because everyone that I talk to says the same thing.
Yeah.
They're like, it makes me a little uncomfortable, and I feel like in some ways I shouldn't like it, but they've taken such great care with it, right? And it's not a parody of itself, right? And it's not beating me over the head.
It's not a clown show. Yeah.
It's something that you enjoy watching, and that gives you that feeling of entertainment, right? And that's what good television is supposed to do, right? We're not supposed to come away from it hella pissed off and feeling like, well, fuck.
Well, people they've come away from the Orville that way.
Well, I get you. Can't please everyone, but they're coming away from it feeling that way because I think the story doesn't resonate with them, right? Not because there is no story.
Right.
And there's a difference.
There is a difference.
If you have a genuine reaction to something because you get the story and you don't like it, that's great, right? Versus not liking it because the story's for shit and all they're doing, right, is beating you over the head with woke messaging and some of the rest of it. That's not
the message.
That's my opinion. So I get you, right? And it's not.
I mean, they do. They beat you over the head with the message. They do. At points where it does pull you out. But to be honest with you, man, like the story just kind of carries it through, and that's why I think it's really weird, and why I continually call it like a new breed of show, because we've never seen it. We've never seen it kind of adapt this way. We see a competent writer tell a really good story, but beat you over the head with the message at the same time. I don't even know what to do with it. I'm enjoying it, and I still watch every single episode, but there are those moments where you're sitting there and you're like, come on.
But the difference is you're content to keep watching it because the show has built up collateral with you, positive collateral that says, okay, I've invested in the show. The show is invested in me. I understand what these characters are doing and what the storyteller is trying to tell me. And okay, here we go. I had a bit of a groaner or whatever, but that's okay. Right, because it wasn't necessarily unexpected, and you know that the story is going to continue to mature.
Well, watch the damn show and then give me your opinion on it.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Right, the biggest reason why I never tried the Orville, which I think I told you this before, maybe even in the stream. Like the biggest reason why I've never tried the Orville is because at the beginning it seemed like back when Star Trek didn't become a farce of its own self. Right.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was a farce. If they were clowning on Star Trek, it
was a bit of a spoof. It was a spoof. So what I'll tell you is that it was like so imagine like the Simpsons and Family Guy. Right? One is a little bit more comically inclined, the other one is comically inclined but has like some, at least a moral at the end of the story. That's essentially what he did with the Orville. It was Star Trek, but kind of funny, and then there was a moral at the end of the story. As it progressed, they started to take their characters a little bit more seriously. The story started to kind of weave into each other. I think McFarlane got some funding and started to make an actual story that people cared about. And then now in this New Horizons season, they started hammering people over the head with the message big time. And I'm wondering if it was some studio influence that made him do that, because, everybody's willing to blame one person when a show goes bad, right? Look at Boba Fett. Who do we blame? Bobby Rod. 1000%. Everything falls on Robert Rodriguez.
I
was a big above
I
that.
I still blame Favreau, by the way. I personally don't blame.
But everybody blames Bobby Rod for that, right? Now, Kenobi, the people who were upset about it, I know a lot of people liked it, but everybody blames Deborah Chow. So that's just kind of the way it falls. And I'm wondering if, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know. This season is very different. It's the strongest storytelling, but it is the most strong messaging in the season as well.
I'll give it a shot. Like I said, the main reason why I never started, I'm telling you, just I felt like, okay, they're clowning on, and then with Discovery and some of the rest of it, I'm like, oh fuck this, Star Trek's clowning on itself, right? And I'm not always the biggest Seth MacFarlane fan either, but I'll give it a shot. I mean, I've pretty much run through a lot of other things that I've been watching.
Yeah, I would do season 3 and then try the new one. You don't need anything more than that.
Yeah. But again, I've been watching a lot of other streaming things, known, unknown, here, there, and everywhere on non-Disney Plus, networks, if you will. Most of it's been quite high quality.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not that we're devoid of stories to be told or actors and actresses being able to, represent those in a very agreeable way with proper CGI and special effects and the rest of it, right? It's for whatever reason, once again, the biggest company in the world from an entertainment perspective just fucking chapeks it out every time, and we get this nonsense, right? And the quality and the rest of it hasn't been where it needs to be. Now, again, if the rumors are, well, it's not a rumor, right? I mean, Skeleton Crew apparently has a $136 million budget because they got a tax credit in California, so it had to be publicized. Right now, again, Jude Law is not a cheap date, right? So 20 million of that probably
there you go
goes to him, right? But even so, right, it would still represent, one of their biggest investments from a Star Wars Disney Plus series, to our understanding, because it's not made public, so some of that's a bit subjective, but it's more in line with the money they've been spending per episode on their Marvel stuff. It's so tough for me, right? Because they're not committed to a theatrical Star Wars experience anymore. Right?
Oh God, back to the movie theaters.
No, they're only committed to Disney Plus. So all we can do is measure what we're able to consume from Disney Plus, either animated or live action content. Whereas on MCU, they're turning out show after show, movie after movie, and all the rest of it as though nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, I have had an absolutely wonderful time tonight. Thank you, everybody. We still got 30 people in here. Thank you to everybody who joins us on the Cantina and the late night. I can't tell you how much I enjoy these conversations. Obviously, having Matt Rissman here with me, my good friend.
My pleasure. It's so much fun for me. I look forward to it. So thanks, everyone, for being here as always. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate it, and we'll be back before too long. These aren't scheduled, so thank you everybody for showing up, not knowing when it was going to be, and we will see you on the next one. We have some very interesting things coming soon, obviously with Andor on the horizon. We'll be talking about it. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night. I hope today finds you well. I hope tomorrow finds you better, and I will see you guys on the next one.